A few weeks ago, a student shared with me a brief history of Holyoke. He told me how in 1847 a salesman from Vermont found the Connecticut River's waterfall on the edge of Holyoke, and he believed, as this student so beautifully put it, that this river could have power. This potential for power eventually became the Holyoke Dam, a dam that developed a great industry and pride for the city of Holyoke. While the dam is still there today, it no longer provides energy for Holyoke's industries, but it has in many ways left residents of Holyoke, especially its Latino population, questioning the current powers in Holyoke. Talking about his growing up there, one student said,
"Born and raised here in Holyoke, and I've always hated living here ever since I was younger, because I've seen like a lot of crime and a lot of things that just didn't allow me to want to live here. So basically my passion when I was younger was to get the hell out of here as fast as I could."
Over a fourth of Holyoke residents live under the poverty line, with poverty most prominent among Holyoke's Latino population. Contributing to this rate is Holyoke's struggle with education. Today, 30% of Holyoke's adults above the age of 25 do not possess a high school diploma or a general education development, or GED, equivalent. And as a wise GED working in Holyoke told me, often Holyoke's GED students are the students who their whole life have heard, "I can't, I'm not smart." All direct socialization of who is a learner. They've internalized oppression and have been disempowered. To address the adult education needs of Holyoke, this year, a group of Adult Basic Education, or ABE, programs opened the Pignelli Adult and Family Education Center. My placement has been with the Holyoke Community College Adult Learning Center, where I've been both tutoring and teaching a social justice storytelling workshop. In my observations, I've watched educators gracefully employ the critical pedagogy. They practice it in the classroom with project-based learning activities like Build Your Own Sneaker, a project about processes and sustainability. And the educators use its theories both to understand the needs of their learners and in their own journeys of self-actualization. As I began this course, I knew I particularly wanted to address the idea of internalized oppression and how it manifested itself in students' feelings of empowerment and agency. I wondered what students were seeing in their community, if they saw the potential for power the salesman from Vermont had seen. We then built 3D asset-based models of our communities, thinking about the resources that already exist in Holyoke. The students identified that Holyoke has houses, churches, schools, diverse cultural populations, hospitals, a city hall, and many parks. I realized during these early discussions about change that students' perceptions of their own capacity were transforming as they began to connect their experiences in Holyoke to ideas of social justice and to their visions and the visions of others. And just like the salesman from Vermont, they began to see that they, as residents of Holyoke, could have power. They, like a river, could connect people and places. They could flow and move and change the course of their own lives as active, engaged citizens, and could eventually change the course for all of Holyoke. At this time, I too began to see a new power, and not only in my students, but in the use of the critical pedagogy of dialogical teaching. When students had an opportunity to share their experiences in their community and to be visionaries and see themselves as important social actors, a great force was released. For example, in a nearby, worn-down park, students proposed building birdhouses, planting flowers, installing kid-friendly water sprinklers in playgrounds, repaired benches, and even an amphitheater and food vendors. Their visions for beautification and change were endless. The students' vision for community improvement and my vision as an educator simultaneously erupted into a grand passion and belief in our own powers. The passion flowed into telling our social justice stories, and the words were speaking so loudly that we decided to bring in the Holyoke mayor candidate to tell him our stories. With the workshops now over, I reflect on this transformative experience, struggling with comprehending what it all means. I leave many questions still unanswered for now, but what I do know is that this experience has reinstilled my commitment to understanding the power of the critical pedagogy through both its theory and practice, and thinking about what my identity means when stepping into a community like Holyoke. The next time I step into the classroom, I shouldn't be asking if the students could have power, but rather seeing them as people who already do have power. Because as I've learned from students in Holyoke,